I don't.
Uh,
If that's what you hear, then that's what that is.
I'm used to that. I have two cats, and one of them's male, and there's other cats that are in the neighborhood. It's not
Yeah.
really neighborhood here anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's the male cats, isn't it?
yeah.
Um, cool. It's the YMOB on the 28th of June, 2018. Okay. I will share my screen. I've almost forgotten how to. Okay, desktop, start. Here we are. And I'll click on my screen as well. Okay, I think that's you can see that, right?
Yep.
And I guess I will run the tests. Cool. I'm not worried about these failing tests. This is far from ideal, but those functions are commented out in the contract. I can't remember why. So it's been a long time since I've done any development on why. Only for testing unstick way. That's why it's commented out.
Okay.
Good. I left a message for myself.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So right now, if I wanted to use Y, I wouldn't know how to do it. I guess I would say to somebody, can you send some ether to this address? And it's set to donate 10% to something that you want to. And they would have to put that address into the Ethereum wallet application because there's no URL for them to go to. And then and copy the contract ABI. So then they got a reference to the contract and then they can interact with it. So that's like that's where it stands. I don't think it's not deployed on mainnet either. So I mean, I guess that's something that could be done when there's demand for it. And up until that point, it can be tested on testnet. But I guess it would be nice if there was a URL. Okay, so there is one problem. When you get when you get hold of the contract in the Ethereum wallet application, you a percent, like 10%, would be represented as numerator 10 and denominator 100, which isn't. That's not really like that's not what most Okay, some like smart people know that is 10%.
Yeah.
But that's not. So that's like one part of the interface which is like glaringly not good. The other thing about Ethereum wallet, the application, is that I think in order to use it, you have to downloads the blockchain, and it no longer fits on my computer. So there's another reason to be using something else. In other words, some kind of web some kind of so the solution to that problem is a light client rather than a heavy client.
Yep.
And the most available one for that is MetaMask, which is a Chrome extension.
Yeah, this is the one that I was talking about earlier, in the course that he showed.
Ah, okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So yeah, so there are two problems. I'll just write them down here. So 10% shows as 10 divided by 100. That's problem one. Problems to solve. And probably more important than that is the fact that you might not, if you don't have the right, like the blockchain is too big. It's too big for most people. Excuse me. Blockchain is too big to use Ethereum wallet. Okay.
So when you say too big, you're saying it takes up too much space on their computers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, so those are two, like, the biggest problems to stopping Y just being able to be used. Like, forgetting about all of the other problems, like nobody is going to spend Ether. Forgetting those, like those are more relative problems. These are things that that would matter even to somebody who's prepared to do that.
Yeah.
So these are the technical things that we can work on.
Okay. So like this blockchain is too big is like because like the idea would be to make it like SaaS, right? Like a software as a service where it like wouldn't require downloading that on someone's personal computer, like a
and that's what the light client is all about. There is a service called Infura, and they do blockchain as a service. And MetaMask uses Infura behind the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, SaaS. And here's MetaMask. Okay, I haven't read this before.
I think it's because of GDRP.
Whoa, check that out. So hackers are faking MetaMask and stealing people's seed phrases. MetaMask will never open itself in this way, and users are encouraged to report. There's lots of phishing that goes on with cryptocurrency, because once it's like stealing someone's PIN number. Once you've got their private key, you've got their money. Yeah. Okay. So what we can do is we can deploy the contract to a testnet, and we can interact with it from the browser. And then we can see what JavaScript we can write to make the 10% thing be more presentable. Yeah, because if I show you, let's I guess if we deploy the contract and interact with it as it is at the moment, you can see what the problem is. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
That's a good way to start. Okay. So what we've got here, yeah, right. So if we do a migrate / reset here, a reference to the contract. Cool. Okay, so now why? I never understand this bit. So I think we have to do this. We have to do y.y at and then put the address in. It seems unnecessary. Now I've got the contract. So we can do y dot maybe donation proportion. Yep. And we get actually an array of 2 big numbers. And you can see one of them is 1 and the other one is 100.
Yep.
So that's the interface at the moment. So it's set that this contract is set at 1%.
Yeah.
So instead of that, we want to call something that's going to give us back 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe instead of doing that here, we can do that in the browser. So because I think that's the bigger problem. The bigger problem is that at the moment this Y is not accessible from the browser. So let's get it working in the browser first.
Okay.
Because a smart person could always go, okay, yeah, that's 1%, fine. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, is it always going to be like numbers like 100 that are easy to deal with though? Because that's
no, that's completely up to the seller, the payee.
Yeah.
That's how I've set it up to be deployed here.
Yeah.
So we'll have to take that into account. Yeah. Let me write this. So that's an interesting thing to take note of, I guess. Cool. Now, if you want, you can do the driving here because this is for your learning in terms of. Well, I'll get us to a point. If we can do the Slack screen share thing, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get us to a point.
Uh-huh.
How can I do this? Yeah, okay. So in the browser, let's just open a new tab. So we should have a Web3 in the browser because, okay, maybe because we're not on a page here. Yeah, okay, cool. We've got a Web3 and it's Web3 version 0.23. Okay. So do you know how to, okay, do you know what to do? Like maybe I can do the typing, but do you know what the process should be here?
No.
Okay. So let's imagine that we've been sent to the web page by our payee who's saying, can you pay me here? And we're the payer, right? So we're going to be paying.
Yep.
So we want to first of all check that the contract that the payee has given us is set up to, like, the payee said 10%. They're going to donate 10% of the payment.
Yep.
So we want to be sure ourselves that the contract is set up to do that.
Yeah.
So what do you think we should? How do you think we should proceed?
I mean, I would, if it were me, I would probably open up that, like, wherever that API is and see what's inside of that. But
okay, so this one, the Web3 one.
Yeah.
We've got it here, haven't we?
So handle.
And this is more like it. So there's a few things. So Web3 does more than just Ethereum. So there's this SHH thing here, which is the Whisper protocol, which is about sending messages to each other anonymously, well, using Ethereum. And then there's the Buzz, which is about the Swarm, which is like a distributed file network, like a peer-to-peer file network. But we're interested in ETH.
Yeah. And then contract. Is there no?
What is there? So let's look at the documentation. I think it's here. So there's two versions of Web3 at the moment. There's version 1 and version 0. And version 0, and this is the version 0 documentation. We've got version 0 in the browser, MetaMask version. So let's search for contract. Okay, that might work. I'll close the.
Yeah, there's 136 of them.
Yeah. Well, there is a method called contract.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it there before, but this one creates a contract object for a Solidity contract, which can be used to initiate contracts on an address. You can read more about events here. So that sounds promising, right?
Yeah.
We just need the ABI array. So that is something that, now, I guess the question is, where does that come from? Where does the ABI array come from?
Wasn't that one of the options there in the console?
Okay. No. Okay. So do you know what the ABI is, first of all?
No, not really. I was thinking about API, yeah. But I think you explained you might have explained last time, but.
Okay. Yeah. I don't. It's weird. I feel like you and I have done quite a lot of Ethereum stuff together, but actually, I guess we've just been doing the contract stuff rather than interacting with it.
Yeah.
The ABI is like an API. It's like the API for the contract, and it's generated automatically when you compile the contract, and it looks like. Hopefully, there'll be a. It's one of the build artifacts. Here, this is the ABI.
Okay.
So it's this array, and it describes what each function. It's like the function signature for each function. So there's a function called donation proportion, and it returns that. So it means that, okay, so let's just copy this for now. And let's imagine, I guess, that the website is going to come loaded with this normally. Where were we? Maybe it would be better to do it on here. I'm going to full screen this. We've got Web3. Web3. And then the API array. Maybe that will work. And we want to assign that actually. Oh, sorry. So this is going to give us a contract object. So we'll call this, okay, so contract equals. Cool. So now we've got a contract object. What does it say here? So var my contract equals that bit, instantiate by address. Yeah, so every time you want to get hold of a contract, you need the API, which is how you're going to interact with it, and then the address of the contract, so that you're calling the right part of the network, where the contract actually is, and that's this here. Both of these pieces of information are going to have to come with the website. Yeah, I've just done too much explanation, really. Is it more fun for you to try and guess what to do next?
No, not necessarily. I mean, sometimes trying to guess what comes next when I don't really know what I'm doing can make me feel stupid.
So, maybe if I was doing some good listening, I might be able to like help you out with whatever you did guess. Okay, so this is going to be the contract instance. Are you following?
Yeah, where did this address you grabbed that from the you grabbed that from the Y? Yeah.
Yeah, I grabbed it from here because I know that that's the address on that blockchain. And hopefully MetaMask is connected to that blockchain up here. It's connected to 9545. Maybe we should check that that we're on 9545. Yeah, we are.
Okay. With this address, there's multiple addresses, right? So this is the address for the contract.
Yeah.
Because there's these other contracts that are not. Those aren't the contract addresses. Those are like the addresses that can be paid out to.
Yeah, that's like the 10 people who are using this network.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and when you do migrate -- reset, it tells you where it's deployed Y to.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Which is there, that one there.
Yeah.
That ends in df6, and that's what I'm putting in here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I click that now, we should have a contract that we can interact with now because we've put in the API and the address. So let's go back. I guess we're going back to our use case. We want to see that the contract, that the payee has told us 10%. So let's try and see that it actually is 10%. Okay, so we need to specify a callback. we've got something back in its array of 2 objects.
So the objects we saw earlier.
Yeah, there we go. 1 and 100.
100, yeah. So then you can be like, oh, my payee lied to me and is only planning on paying out 1%.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, before you went any further. Yeah. So let's, how can we, let's say that actually, let's say in a different situation, the payee had told us that, yeah, it's 1%, so we're happy with this.
Yeah. Yeah, because for the purposes of this pairing session, we can't go back to the payee and ask why they lied to us. It's probably.
I mean, what we could do is we could change the pay. We could pretend that the payer said to the payee, "Hey, you said it was going to be 10%," and they go, "Oh, sorry, yeah, I'll change it for you."
That's what I meant.
we can test that out.
Yeah.
I guess actually that's not our objective here. Our objective is to make this look prettier.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So do you want to write that function?
Yeah, I don't know if I know how to write that function, but yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, okay, so you understand that this is a numerator and that's a denominator, right? My approach to it would be like to maybe write a function that divides those 2 numbers together to give you like the 0.01.
Yeah.
And then
convert that to a percentage.
Yeah.
But yeah, like to access this, you need to call this other method donation proportion, and then you need to then you need to access the first key of the array, or the value, because it's an array or it's a hash.
It's an array of 2 objects.
Okay. Yeah. So and objects is another. Yeah. It's like looks like a hash. Yeah.
Yeah. Ruby hash is a JavaScript object. It's a keyed collection. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to iterate over each object.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily iterate over, actually, because you can access the keys, the values of the keys.
Yeah, you know that there's always going to be 2 objects in this array.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we can write it as a. I guess we can write it as a pure function. Format. Okay, let's call it. How can we call this? Let's just call it format and then change it later. So like you were saying,
yeah, so that accesses the first object, and then like dot key. dot values.
I think so. This is an object with methods.
Mm-hmm.
Each of these has, and toNumber is one of the.
Yeah.
We could even use the built-in methods here. So I think that dot. So that's divide.
Mm-hmm.
The
And then donation proportion 1.
Yeah.
And then dot toNumber.
Yeah. Or do we want to multiply by 1,000 first? Or do we not want to multiply at all and like do some string? Let's see what we get.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've got a function called format. This callback takes two values, an error and a value.
Yep. Okay. Nice.
Okay. So I always have this thing with percentages. Is it right to multiply something by 100, or is it's a case of formatting? So you could chop off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of moving the decimal place twice, right? But
yeah.
Yeah, you can do that by multiplying by 100. Yeah, I think that would work. Yeah. Does that say null or mul? Oh, mul for multiply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
So this function is like the first part of the interface.
Uh-huh.
Right, but now, so we've just been exploring it there, really, I guess. And if we're going to do this properly, we need to do this test-driven.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm talking to a Ruby programmer, and I think that you guys are like you're pretty strong about test first, right? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of new to everything, really. But I'm liking the whole test-driven because I think like I understand that it can help to there's sometimes that I can struggle to understand how to, like, when I'm writing, when I guess Ruby on Rails is what I've written most, and there's sometimes that I don't quite understand exactly how things are related to each other, associated with each other, and or how it should work, you know, or what like I want the program to do. And then if I think about it in a like as in the perspective of a user or something like that, and write tests first, then it can go like helping me to implement something meaningful, you know?
Yeah, you don't get it keeps you on track.
Yeah, but then I have
perspective.
Yeah, but then it seems like, but then there's times that it's like I don't like there's times I have to do the implementation first because I don't really know how to test for it because I don't have any idea what I'm doing. So I just go looking for how do I do this, you know? And then I figure it out, and then it's like, okay, then I try to go back and test for it afterwards.
Yeah,
which seems the opposite, but.
Yeah, I watched a really great talk about testing recently, and I think it was somebody who was like from Ruby.
Was it Sandy by any chance?
Sorry?
Was it Sandy?
No, it wasn't Sandy. No, I can't remember his name. He made the point that unit tests should, how can I put this? Yeah, I mean, this is obvious, but you shouldn't test the implementation, should you? You should only test what you what the user is interested in. So in this case, like, what's the? I'm just trying to think. What's the user's interested in seeing a percent value?
Yeah, which. Yeah, I mean that it could be getting close to like testing views, which I'm not sure, but I haven't heard a lot of that. Like, I guess you could test for like that when you click on a certain button, but they're not actually clicking on a button to produce the results. They're just visiting the page and expecting to find some content with that says 10%.
Yeah, I mean, we've written a pure function. Like, we know that we're always going to be getting an array of two big numbers from the contract. So I guess that we can test that this function always returns a number. Yeah, I'm not keen. I don't have any experience testing views.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the only stuff that I guess it's not really testing views like that I've done with just that to test that the user can actually see something on a page that you're expecting them to see,
Yeah.
But then that's like an acceptance test where they would be interacting with it, because if they're not interacting with it, if it's like just on the homepage or something, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on how it's going to be. Is it going to be where like the landing page is going to be something that's already going to have that information available to them, because that's the majority of the reason why they would be going to that URL is to check the percentage is correct before continuing on, and then from that page they can click on the some button that's that takes them to the next step, which is providing some address or an amount. Or
yeah, I can see the value of making sure that if you go to this URL, that's what you're going to see. That makes sense, doesn't it? And it's possible you could do something underneath that breaks that, and then that will matter. One of the talks I looked at was about like basically if you're doing acceptance testing, it's because you're not doing unit testing correctly.
Yeah, Sandy was talking about like that's the talk I thought you were talking about. Maybe is that she was talking about that as well, like that there should be much more unit testing than like something I need to have a look at as well. Like I had that question as well. Like I'm testing things like I've in this project, another project I'm working on, I find that the majority of my tests are testing like CRUD actions, which to me seems like, why am I doing that when I think Rails has their own testing for that, like, so yeah, and they're not to needlessly to test,
Yeah, right.
And as far as like a unit test, like maybe we would be testing that like only because this function we would want like you wouldn't want any negative numbers or anything like that. But then I don't know if there is any world where you would have it would return an object with a negative number.
So yeah, I feel like that should be those tests should be at the contract level.
Mm-hmm.
And because if there's a there should definitely not ever be a negative number within the contract itself. So yeah, it's like, where do you actually do the, I guess it's maybe similar to what you're saying, is where do you do the tests? I like to think that if I'd made sure that there weren't negative numbers possible in the contract, then I don't have to test for that again in a layer that's above that.
Yeah, I mean, if you make sure the contract is only going to give, you know, I mean, but yeah, you also, like, I think you like other things to test is that, like, the denominator is never lower than the numerator, like those kind of things. But assuming those things are already tested for in the contract, then by the time it gets to this function, then, I mean, whatever, you're just kind of testing what are you testing? You're testing like the multiplication methods of JavaScript, like.
Yeah, and that's not something that library has its own tests, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think you would need to test that. Just if you wanted to test, like, the only thing maybe is that how it's formatted on the homepage, like, because then you can say, like, oh, as a user, like, oh, I want to be able to see the percentage sign, like, and then I guess you would be testing that if you know, I don't know, if there's these conditions 1 in 100, then it's going to be, the person's going to see 1%. But
yeah, and so maybe this maybe this format method should add that percent sign.
Either that, or it needs to be something in the views where it's like, you know, it's the percent sign is always there.
Yeah.
And then wherever this one is going to be populated based on the contract is just next to that percentage sign.
Okay, so I prefer for things to be correct lower down in the system.
Yeah.
So that if it was your, like, personal preference to call the contract like this rather than using a UI, let's say, it would be correct. But that's being silly. But yeah, if it's correct lower down in the system, then there's never a chance where you might see this 1 and not know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Because so you would do that by just, like, string interpolation.
Yeah, you could probably.
Or is there, like, a method that you can format as a percentage instead of times multiplying by?
I mean, the quickest fix in my head would be a string concatenation like that. Is that what you meant?
Sorry, I just went looking for. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I just was looking here. They have.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll switch back to share my screen. Yeah. What? Show me what you're looking at, Kenny.
Yeah. Cool. Sorry. Just because, I mean, the easiest way, since we already have it, it would be just a string interpolation, but there might be an easier way to write our function as well. Like, I don't know if this would work, numeral and then dot format and just passing it in like this would return a string 75%. I'm not sure this numeral library. Oh, it's something that this person created, Adam Draper.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's probably doing a load more stuff than. It's doing more than just formatting a number to a %.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, there's other people like this one here. I don't. It's a method called percentage. We can pass in two numbers.
oh, that's a jQuery method.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we're being good because we're doing the maths in with big numbers. So we're not using JavaScript arithmetic to do those numbers. And then all we're doing then is just converting. Actually, what we could do is, rather than converting to a number, we could convert to string. So that we're not even like entering the domain of JavaScript numbers. And hopefully that will still be the same. Great.
Nice.
So yeah, so in theory that should be safe now again.
Can you explain what you mean by that? That we're not like that we're doing the multiplication at the big number. Like, okay, so that's why you didn't you didn't call two number on both of them before you divided them. But
yeah,
why is that safer to do at the big number level than a JavaScript?
Yeah. Okay. So big number is built to represent numbers of any size and to do maths with numbers of any size. Whereas the primitive number type in JavaScript is inaccurate.
Because of how it rounds or something like that.
Yeah, because of floating point errors, and I don't know in depth about it more than that. And then I think JavaScript may even be a special case within that like problem domain.
Yeah. So like in this case, like it's really simple or division that we're doing, but it could be something that was the numbers are much larger, like if you're dealing with Ether, for example, or something.
Yeah, right. If we're dealing with or yeah, just simply because the number that can be set here is the payee can set any number they like, and it's got a right. Even if it was within JavaScript's number range, it would be dangerous to do maths on it. But I think the reason we're getting big numbers is because they are solidity numbers, which are bigger than JavaScript numbers still. So yeah, it's much safer to deal with big numbers.
Okay. So yeah, in that case, there's no reason why we would purposely convert them to be unsafe.
Yeah. Yeah, and these are these like big numbers. This isn't something I've decided to do with the big numbers. Like these are the things that come back from Web3.
Yeah, that's what's being returned.
Yeah.
So back to the
actually,
is there do you think that there's some validity in writing a test that looks for that 1% on the landing page, for example?
Yeah, it does seem it seems that like that would be the right thing to do, wouldn't it? Because at the moment it's buried in the code somewhere, and you'd have to dig in the console for it, and there's no guarantee that the UI would be picking that up without a test.
Yeah. Lead us to the implementation of it for sure.
Yeah, this is some now you know more about this than I do now. I've never ever written a test for a user interface. The only user interfaces I've built are with Elm. So it's pure functional, so it's easy to test. And there is like an Elm test library as well. So it could be fun to see if we can write those kind of tests.
So that, yeah, I guess so the interface is going to be, you're thinking write the interface in Elm.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's what you have.
Yeah,
the most experience with him.
Yeah, the minute that I start, like, I mean, how would we get this number to? We'd have to start setting the DOM, wouldn't we? We'd have to start doing things like get element by ID and then setting it to 1% in order to get this on the page. Otherwise, so yeah, at that moment, I would think about using Elm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you yeah, I was just thinking about the time and that kind of, and also now that we're talking about Elm, about the Alan and wanting to do some Elm mob, do you think that would be appropriate to?
It might, yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? Because then we'd be ticking off those problems which we started out with, which is, yeah, we like, the idea is that you can give the payer a URL and they can turn up at a website. So that really is the next step here, isn't it? Because we've got 1%.
Yeah. So the back end is working.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And also, I think it's like, I mean, I suppose we could try to think about something else we could mob on in Elm, but like, since we've kind of fell into something to work on, it seems, I don't know. I particularly, I like having, like, if mobbing on something that's concrete, and open source, it's going to actually benefit someone and make the world a better place.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, otherwise, the only Elm stuff that I can think of at the moment is the Paranauts, but that's ground to a halt because of the APIs. Yeah, the Jitsi stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, I will invite Alan to this, or have you already made contact with him?
No, I haven't actually. I think I saw the message and I responded that we were going to be pairing today on mobbing today on Ethereum, and then that's it. But yeah, if you wanted to jump in the conversation and pick a time that's good for you, then I should be able to join.
Okay, cool.
When were you? When did, like? Do you have any ideas of when? Or do you need to check your schedule and stuff?
Yeah. Let me see.
I mean, I suppose some of it will have to do with I mean, I don't, if it's just the two of us, that's fine with me as well. But if maybe some of it will have to do with when Alan is available. But
yeah. Okay.
See where it was on the Paranauts that we had this conversation, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm around tomorrow evening. I'm around, and next week I'm pretty good too. I don't have any. Yeah, the only thing I have in the evening next week is the YMob.
Yep.
So.
When is the regular YMob? Is it? I feel like this is a special time, and it's like not of course this time was, but earlier today we had talked about it because of the, or is that the normal time for the YMob?
This is the normal time for the YMob. Well,
okay.
Yeah, a few hours ago was the normal time.
Okay.
Yeah, it hasn't been on recently.
Yeah.
or it's like I've come on, but nobody else has come on. So
nobody else there. Yeah. I mean, I'm keen to try tomorrow. Evening for you would be because yeah, I think I like the evening for me. I have a class, but I think when it's evening for me, it's too late for you anyways. And before that, if you have time and want to do it, I'm available for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And I know it seems like Alan is on, so I don't know if you want, I can try to connect with him, or if you want to handle that, then
yeah, I'll do that now, because right now. Can you point, where was he? Which
we were talking about Paranauts, is where I know he's on Paranauts. I don't know if he's on any of the other channels, or maybe General he is as well, but like Wyatt probably hasn't made his way to Wyatt. Yeah, he's on General as well. Need to be a little bit. I don't know if when Sam was saying about Elm mobbing, I don't know if he was thinking we were going to work on Paranauts, but
yeah,
because he did say, he was saying he's looking for a way into Paranauts. Thought he might look at the CI Chrome driver stuff together. But I mean, I can set up something separately with him on that, because that has nothing to do with Elm or really Elixir. It just has to do with Paranauts. So yeah, I can connect with him on that separately.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. It's gonna be like 6. I think a similar time to today. Tomorrow, like a similar time is going to be the best for me. So,
7 p.m. UTC.
7 p.m. UTC. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That works for me.
All right, I'll finish that message off to him. So hopefully we'll see each other in 24 hours time, and we'll be doing some Elm.
Cool. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Do you think I should from now until then, should I go ahead and get the I haven't had a look, I don't think, at the repo, but should I go ahead and get it? I don't know if you fork it and clone it or just clone it, but should I go ahead and get it cloned on my machine?
I'm gonna have to push these changes first. And there's also 2 versions of the. So I don't know what's going to happen here, because Federico forked my repository to be in an Agile Ventures repository.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but since then I haven't pushed any code up to either my own or that repository. So I'm going to have to configure mine now to push up to that one.
Yep.
And then you'll be able to pull down the changes that we've made today.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I need to go. I'm going to go for my. I'm not sure if I'm going to get that done this evening. I'd like to finish now and just chill out.
Yeah. Go for a walk. It's still you still have some daylight there. It seems like it would be really late there for you to have daylight.
Yeah. Well, we're a week after solstice now, so it's starting a bit darker. But you're nearer the equator than I am, aren't you? So there's some 9 o'clock in the evening, and it's like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to get dark here already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it gets how close? Okay, well, because I've seen how early and how quickly it gets dark at the equator.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're a little bit further because we're in the south of Brazil, so yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, I won't worry about cloning it, because maybe. But if if you want me to before the thing, then just ping me and I'll get on that.
Yeah, okay, because then you could be driving, right? And that would be cool.
Yeah,
If
just
that's
be
what
prepared.
is that what you is that why you'd like to do that, or you just
Well, just, yeah, I mean that's one reason, but I definitely don't mind driving. I always like, but just in general, like it seems like something that I need to do if I'm going to be contributing to the project is to have a local version of it that
yeah, cool. All right, yeah, cool. All right, so yeah, I'll sort that out and then see you tomorrow anyway. See you tomorrow at
yeah,
7 p.m. UTC.
cool.
I guess whether Alan joins us or not.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
and then he can join us later for some Elm, like when he's free.
I mean this. I don't think it'll be the only time we we pair now. Hopefully, it becomes a regular thing.
Cool.
Cool. See you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you.